Ready for another romantic mess? Yeah, I know. You love it when they suffer a little bit before the happy ending. But today, the main course is that specific kind of tension you feel right at the back of your neck. You know, that static electricity right before the storm hits. We have a chaotic student who collects disasters like trophies, a professor who built an ice fortress around her heart, and a blizzard that's way too convenient to be a coincidence. Fix your posture, take a deep breath. What comes next gets way more complicated before it gets fixed. If there was an elegant way to destroy her own academic life, Olivia Brooks definitely wouldn't choose it. Her ruin didn't come dressed in feathers or Greek tragedy. It came in the shape of a neon orange plastic pumpkin, bought for $2 at a post-Halloween sale, and strategically positioned on the head of the college founder's statue. It was December, Olivia's last semester. She had just passed her finals, miraculously, by the way, and the celebration involved 3 spiked punches that tasted like future regret. In Olivia's drunk mind at 2 a.m., that bronze old man deserved a little seasonal joy. Public art, she'd call it later. Creative vandalism. At least it wasn't a traffic cone, she mumbled to herself while climbing the statue, hands slipping on the cold bronze. I have class. Spoiler, she had 0 class. Someone took a picture, and of course, it went viral on the campus group chat in 10 minutes. Olivia woke up the next day with 47 notifications and a hangover that felt like a pile driver. And yes, before you ask, Olivia was trying not to think about Professor Hartman that night. It had worked for whole months, ever since the summer term ended and she finally didn't have to see that woman anymore. But then, Olivia saw her crossing the campus that December afternoon, in that gray wool coat and heels, making a sound Olivia had never managed to forget. All those weeks of getting over Professor Hartman went down the drain in 10 seconds. Then came the punch, and the pumpkin, and the systematic destruction of her own future. Because here's the inconvenient truth Olivia guarded like a pathetic secret. She had a crush on the professor since before the first day. The summer term with Aliyah Hartman had ended months ago. Olivia thought she was finally free from the torture of seeing that woman every day. Free from the confusion of professional admiration mixed with other things she preferred not to name. But then came December, the final exams. Olivia passed them all, miraculously. And the celebration involved 3 spiked punches that tasted like bad decisions, and bad decisions led to pumpkins on statues at 2 in the morning. The result of Olivia's public art? A summons to the dean's office at 8 a.m. on a Monday, with a headache that felt like divine revenge, and her dignity in the trash. Miss Brooks, the dean sighed, cleaning his glasses with the patience of someone who's seen this before. The creativity is admirable, the execution, lamentable. Olivia tried to make a face of sincere regret. She probably just looked constipated. I can explain. She tried to speak. No need, he interrupted, adjusting the papers on his desk with annoying precision. As punishment, you will do the complete cataloging of the history department's archives for the Centennial Project, in person, until December 24th. The air left Olivia's lungs. But, I already finished my credits and the campus closes tomorrow. The administrative building will remain open for maintenance, he smiled, a smile with absolutely no joy. And you will have direct supervision. It was at that exact moment the door opened. It wasn't a normal door opening. It was an atmospheric shift. The air suddenly got thinner. The smell of old books in the office was cut by a citrus perfume. Sharp, expensive. Olivia didn't need to turn around to know who it was. Everyone knew who it was. Professor Aliyah Hartman. She walked in like royalty, not like someone asking for permission. Her stiletto heels hit the wooden floor in a military rhythm. Aliyah Hartman was 26 and already had her PhD. The youngest professor in the institution's 100-year history. Too pretty to be so terrifying, and cold enough to freeze hell over with one look. Dean, her voice was velvet wrapped in barbed wire. I was informed that my overtime would involve tutoring. She stopped beside Olivia. She didn't look directly at her, but Olivia could feel the heat radiating off her. Ironic, considering Aliyah looked at the world like she was evaluating interesting, but disposable insects. Exactly, Professor Hartman. The dean clasped his hands with bureaucratic satisfaction. Miss Brooks needs discipline. You need overtime. It's the perfect marriage. What the dean didn't say was the real reason. Dean Evans had great appreciation for Aliyah Hartman. She was brilliant, dedicated, the jewel of the institution's academic crown. But he had also noticed her rigidity, the way she kept everyone at a distance, as if protecting herself behind a fortress of impeccable professionalism. Dean Evans saw himself as a mentor, and mentors, in his opinion, put their pupils in challenging situations to smooth out their edges. A student like Olivia Brooks' chaotic, questioning, impossible to ignore would be the perfect test. He didn't explain any of this to Aliyah, just said it was overtime to work on pedagogical flexibility, as if that clarified anything. But what the dean didn't know was that, a week earlier, Olivia had complained loud enough for half the hallway to hear that Aliyah was a dictator in a skirt. And Aliyah heard every word. Aliyah turned her face to Olivia for the first time since entering the room. Her eyes were dark, intelligent, and in that moment, narrowed with suspicion and contained fury. In Aliyah's head, everything made sense instantly. Punishment. And who else could have formally complained about her but the student who kept testing her limits? The same one who complained about her in the hallway last week. Olivia Brooks. Of course, she was the culprit. Perfect, Aliyah said, and the word sounded like a death sentence. Let's go, Brooks. We have work to do. Working with Aliyah Hartman wasn't a task. It was an endurance sport of psychology with sarcastic commentary on both sides. The empty campus had a beautiful melancholy, snow falling slowly, muffling the world in white cotton. But inside room 304, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a knife, or with one of Aliyah's sharp observations. Aliyah, at the main desk, typed with contained fury. The discreet Christmas lights blinking in the background were the only betrayal to her impeccable professionalism. It was maintenance's idea, she said, without looking up. I didn't ask for it. Apparently, holiday spirit is mandatory in this institution. Oh, the horror, Olivia mumbled, organizing papers. Involuntary seasonal joy. My condolences. Aliyah didn't answer, but Olivia saw the corner of her mouth twitch. Almost a smile. Almost. The dynamic was torture. Aliyah didn't yell. She was surgical in her corrections, with a cold irony that cut deeper than any scream. Olivia tried. God, how she tried. She arrived 20 minutes early on the first day, organized the files chronologically before Aliyah even asked, checked every entry in the system 3 times. Chronological cataloging. Brooks, not alphabetical. I did chronological, Olivia replied, pointing to the screen with a forced patience that deserved an award. Aliyah leaned in, looked over her shoulder, too close. Olivia could feel the heat, the citrus perfume that had haunted her in the hallways for months. You're using the publication year, Aliyah said, voice cutting. You should be using the year of the historical event described in the document. Olivia closed her eyes, took a deep breath, counted to 5 in Latin so she wouldn't say something that would guarantee her posthumous failure. Right, sorry, I'll redo it. You should have read the instructions more carefully. I'll tattoo them on my arm, Olivia mumbled, getting back to work. Right next to here lies Olivia's hope of ever doing anything right. She wasn't sure if Aliyah heard, but she thought so, because there was a weird silence coming from the main desk. 2 hours later, Olivia brought a new list, printed, organized, highlighted with colors in a system that would make Can't cry with pride. Aliyah took the sheet, scanned it, and put it back on the desk without a word. Well? Olivia asked, hopeful, like a dog waiting for a treat. It is adequate, Aliyah said, and went back to her own work. Adequate? Not good. Not well done. Adequate? Olivia bit the inside of her cheek hard enough to taste blood. Adequate? She repeated to herself, going back to her own desk. Great. Perfect. I'm putting that on my resume. Olivia Brooks, adequate since 2025. I heard that, Aliyah said without looking up. I know, Olivia replied, typing harder than necessary. The silence that followed was charged, electric. On the second day, Olivia decided to try another angle. She walked 10 minutes in the snow because the universe hated her, apparently to the coffee shop 3 blocks from campus. She bought a specialty coffee, exactly how she remembered Aliyah ordering that one time she saw her in line months ago. Double espresso, black, no sugar, nothing that suggested joy or sweetness. Coffee? She offered, placing the cup on Aliyah's desk carefully, like someone offering a sacrifice to a temperamental deity. Aliyah looked up, surprised. I didn't order this. I know, Olivia said, backing away. But I thought you liked it. It's their espresso, double black. Aliyah took the cup, smelled it, took a sip. Olivia waited, heart beating in a stupid, hopeful rhythm. It's too hot, Aliyah said, putting the cup back. And these are Ethiopian beans. I prefer Colombian. And medium temperature, not boiling. Olivia blinked. Right, noted. Next time I'll bring a thermometer and a chemical analysis of the beans. Aliyah didn't answer, but Olivia saw something on her face. A fleeting regret, a microscopic softening around the eyes. But it passed too quickly. Thank you, Aliyah mumbled, so low Olivia almost didn't hear. For the initiative. Olivia went back to her desk, hands trembling slightly. It wasn't a full thank you, but it was something. It was more than Shed had in months. On the third day, Olivia was determined in a way that bordered on insanity. She had slept for hours, researching the archives, learning about historical context, making detailed notes in 3 different highlighter colors. She prepared a full report on the first 50 documents, because Olivia Brooks didn't do things halfway when she was trying to impress someone who hated her. She placed it on Aliyah's desk with hands shaking slightly from caffeine and nerves. I made a preliminary report, Olivia said, trying to sound casual. Thought it might help with the Centennial Project. Aliyah took the document, read it in a silence that seemed to last 3 years. Olivia watched every micro-expression. She saw the moment Aliyah frowned slightly. She saw when she bit her lower lip. Finally, Aliyah put the report aside. You use secondary sources without verifying the primary ones. Olivia felt something contract in her chest. I used the sources available in the. If you're not sure about a piece of information, don't include it, Aliyah cut in, voice sharp as a scalpel. Don't pad the text, Brooks. I expected more rigor from someone who has practically graduated. The voice was cutting, professional, impersonal, but Olivia saw it, saw Aliyah's hand grip the pen to hard, saw her breathing change, become irregular for a second. And Olivia was getting tired of trying to decipher the emotional enigma known as Aliyah Hartman. Okay, she said, voice coming out lower than intended. I'll redo it, again, for the 10th time. For the 3rd, Aliyah corrected. But who's counting, right? Olivia mumbled, going back to her desk. Certainly not me, while I redo the same work for the millionth time trying to reach standards that apparently change every hour. Brooks. Yes? Aliyah stared at her for a long moment. There was something there, something Olivia couldn't read. The work is, she hesitated, as if the words physically cost her. It is well structured. It just needs more verification on the sources. Olivia blinked. Was that almost a compliment? It was an objective observation. I'm tattooing it on the other arm, Olivia said, turning around before Aliyah could see the blush on her face. Olivia Brooks, well-structured, according to Aliyah Hartman, 2025. She didn't see it, but Aliyah smiled. It was a small, secret smile that disappeared as soon as Olivia turned her back, but it existed. On the 4th day, Olivia's facade collapsed spectacularly. She had slept 2 hours, woke up at 5 a.m. with that manic determination of someone on the verge of a nervous breakdown. Arrived at office 304 with deep dark circles, hands shaking from caffeine overdose, and a mental list of everything she needed to do perfectly. Spoiler: it didn't work. Olivia was cataloging a box of particularly fragile documents when Aliyah walked behind her. You're holding that wrong, Aliyah said. It's going to tear. Use both hands by the corners. Olivia adjusted her hands, face burning with shame and frustration. Sorry. Apologies don't glue torn paper back together, Brooks. Olivia took a deep breath, counted to 10 in 3 different languages, kept working. 10 minutes later, this document is in the wrong pile. 5 minutes later, this catalog number is illegible. Redo it. 3 minutes later, you left a fingerprint on the scanner glass. Clean it. Every correction was a needle prick. Small, precise, accumulative. Olivia felt the pressure rising in her chest. Her hands started shaking for real now. Sure, she murmured, cleaning the scanner. Because God forbid I leave a fingerprint. What a disaster. What a tragedy. Someone call the competent authorities to register my chronic incompetence. Brooks. What? Olivia turned. and there was a harshness in her voice she couldn't control anymore. Anything else I did wrong? I want to make sure I add it to the list. So far we're at 15. 15 wrong things just today. It's a new personal record. Aliyah blinked, clearly surprised by the tone. I was just correcting me. I know. It's what you do. Olivia cut in. The crack was opening up. She could feel it. It's literally the only thing you do with me. Correct? Criticize? Point out every tiny mistake as if I were an experiment gone wrong and you were documenting the failure for posterity. She turned back to the box of documents, hands shaking so much she could barely hold anything. I just need to finish this, she mumbled. Just need to finish without ruining anything else, without disappointing you more, without proving again that I'm a walking disaster who shouldn't have graduated. She picked up the box, too heavy, but she wasn't going to ask for help. Not again. Took 3 steps, tripped over her own foot. The box fell. Papers flew everywhere, some tearing on impact, others sliding under furniture. 100 years of history scattered on the floor because Olivia Brooks couldn't even walk straight. Damn it, she screamed. And then came the tears. They weren't delicate tears. They were big, ugly, desperate sobs. She fell to her knees in the middle of the paper chaos, covering her face with her hands. I don't know what I'm going to do after this, she sobbed, voice breaking. I don't know what I'm doing now. I'm useless. I'm not good enough. I'm never good enough. Her voice got louder, more desperate. A whole year of frustration pouring out at once. I try so hard. I sleep 2 hours a night trying. I walk in the snow to get coffee. I make reports with 3 colors of highlighter because I thought maybe if I did everything perfectly, you'd look at me once and not seem disappointed. Olivia was trembling now, shoulders shaking. But it doesn't matter what I do. It never matters. Because I'm a fraud who puts pumpkins on statues because she's scared of becoming an adult. And I'm going to graduate and I don't know how to do anything right. Not even catalog old papers. Not even. She swallowed hard. Not even please you. The last part came out in a broken, vulnerable whisper. Olivia immediately wanted to shove the words back into her mouth. Silence. Then Olivia heard footsteps. She expected to be scolded, expected the cutting sarcasm. Instead, Aliyah crouched down. She was at the same height, her knees touching the cold floor next to Olivia. Hey. Aliyah's voice was different, soft, unexpectedly human. Olivia, look at me. Breathe. Olivia looked up, tears blurring her vision. Aliyah looked different. There was something devastated on her face, as if every word Olivia said had hit the mark. You are not a fraud, Aliyah said, and her voice wavered. You are. She swallowed hard. You are chaotic, impulsive, and stubborn. But you are brilliant when you stop trying to sabotage yourself. Olivia stared at her, confused, hurt. But I never do anything right. You always have something to correct. Always? Aliyah closed her eyes. When she opened them, there was something raw there. I know, she whispered. I know. And her voice broke. God, Olivia, I am so sorry. Aliyah's hand rose, hovering in the air as if she wanted to touch Olivia's shoulder, but didn't dare. It stayed there, suspended, trembling slightly, before lowering and closing into a fist by her side. You are good enough, Aliyah said, firm now. You always were. The problem was never you. Olivia held her breath. Aliyah was too close now. You could see the gold lights in her brown eyes. You could smell the scent, not just the expensive perfume, but the smell of warm skin and coffee and Aliyah. Do you really think I'm brilliant? Olivia whispered. Aliyah's eyes dropped to Olivia's mouth, stayed there for 2 whole seconds, an instinctive, primitive movement she couldn't hide. Then they snapped back to fast. I think, Aliyah said, breath hitching, that you should pick up these papers. She stood up abruptly, turning her back, posture rigid again. But Olivia had seen it. She had seen her breath hitch, had seen the war happening inside those brown eyes. Aliyah was fighting against something much more dangerous than hate. It was December 23rd, the last day. The weather forecast had warned. Just light snow, they said. Liars. By 4 p.m., the world outside was an impenetrable white blur. The wind howled against the windows. The university phones emitted an alert. Emergency lockdown. Stay where you are. The room light flickered. The heating system let out a metallic groan and died. Office 304 turned into an isolation chamber. Aliyah paced from one side to the other. This is unacceptable. I have a flight tomorrow morning, 7 a.m. to Chicago, to visit my family for the first time in 2 years. Aliyah, Olivia was sitting on top of the desk, swinging her legs. Relax, it's just a blizzard. It's kinda romantic, if you think about it. Like those bad Christmas movies that play 24 hours a day. Aliyah stopped, spun toward her. Her eyes were narrowed, the contained fury finally finding an escape valve. Romantic? She repeated, voice dangerously low. We are trapped in a university without heat, Olivia, and honestly, I don't know how much longer I can handle your. She gestured to Olivia, pointing at the ridiculously fluffy reindeer sweater. This chronic lack of seriousness of yours. The arrow hit Olivia dead on. She hopped off the desk, her defense finally cracking. Lack of seriousness? She repeated, voice rising. Is that what you think of me? After days watching me try to kill myself with exhaustion to do things your way? For starters, we are only here because you reported me. Aliyah exploded. It was the first time Olivia saw her lose vocal control. Her voice cracked, revealing raw pain underneath the anger. You formally complained about my conduct. I am here, trapped in this ridiculous punishment during the holidays, risking everything I built because you couldn't handle being challenged. The silence that followed was absolute. Olivia felt the floor disappear under her feet. I didn't report you, she said, voice shaky but firm. I complained about you in the cafeteria, yeah. I called you a dictator in a skirt. I was frustrated, but I never made a formal complaint. Never. Aliyah stood motionless. What? I would never do that, Olivia continued. Do I think you're rigid? Yes. Impossible sometimes? Definitely. But I also think you're the most incredible professor I've ever had. Olivia's voice was rising now, loaded with emotion. You're 26, and already a PhD, professor. I screw myself over just to not fail and you've already conquered all that. And it hurts, you know? It hurts that, even admiring you so much, you treat me like I'm a problem you'd like to delete from your own memory. Olivia turned her face, went to the window, hugging her own arms. The cold in the room was already starting to bite, but the cold in her chest was worse. Olivia heard the sound of heels approaching, slowly, hesitant. Olivia. She didn't answer. Olivia. The voice was softer now. Look at me. Olivia turned slowly. Aliyah was pale. She looked just like a young woman, tired and scared. Aliyah started, swallowed hard. I don't hate you. Then why are you so hard on me? Olivia asked, voice breaking. With the others you're demanding but fair. But with me you're different. With me it feels personal. The word hung in the air between them. Aliyah let out a sigh that seemed to come from the bottom of her soul. Took another step. Now, they were inches apart. It is personal, Aliyah admitted, voice a hoarse whisper. She raised her eyes to Olivia, and there was so much there: anger, fear, exhaustion. You know it's personal, Olivia. Olivia sighed, disappointed. So you. She stopped. The world stopped with her. Because Olivia knew. Of course she knew. The memory came like a wave. Neon lights reflecting in cheap champagne glasses. Loud music. The countdown. And Aliyah, not Professor Hartman. Just Aliyah laughing at something Olivia had said about cant and karaoke absolutely not mixing. 4 hours of conversation. Instant connection. Undeniable chemistry. And then midnight hit, and they almost kissed. But the bar was closing, and Olivia's friends were calling, and Aliyah had to go. And neither of them asked for the other's number because sometimes people are idiots when they're half drunk and completely enchanted. Olivia spent days looking for that woman on social media with zero success. She only knew her first name, Aliyah, a needle in a digital haystack. You're talking about New Year's Eve, Olivia whispered. Aliyah closed her eyes. When she opened them, there were tears there. Downtown bar, December 31st, last year. You. Olivia felt all the pieces falling into place at once. You remember, but you just pretended you didn't know me. It wasn't a question, it was a raw accusation. I had to pretend, Aliyah said, and her voice broke. Olivia, you don't understand. You showed up in my classroom on that first day, and I went into total panic. She ran a hand over her face, undoing the mask of control. I am the youngest professor in this institution. Do you know what that means? The pressure? People waiting for me to fail? Any slip up, any suspicion of impropriety, and I lose everything. Everything I built since I was 17. So you pretended I didn't exist, Olivia said, and the hurt turned into anger. You looked at me in that first class like we were complete strangers, like you hadn't spent 4 hours talking to me, like we hadn't almost. She stopped, throat tightening. Almost kissed at midnight? Aliyah finished, voice a rough whisper. I know. I remember every second of that night, Olivia, every bad joke you made, the way your eyes shone when you talked about the books you loved. Olivia laughed, a humorless sound. Funny, because you acted like you didn't remember anything. For the whole summer term, I believed that tequila gave you some kind of amnesia. Then classes ended and I thought, thank God, I never have to see her again. And then the dean decided to put us together again, just for me to find out you did everything consciously. And you think it was easy? Aliyah practically yelled. When you walked into that room on the first day, I recognized you immediately and panicked. I spent the whole semester building walls between us because it was the only way to survive, and when it finally ended, I also thought I was free, that I could forget. But then you put that damn pumpkin on the statue and the dean threw us together again, and I was scared of giving in. Her voice broke. Giving in to what? Olivia challenged, taking a step forward, to admitting that night was real, that we had a connection neither of us managed to forget. Yes, Aliyah admitted, because if I admitted it, I would have to admit that this she gestured between them was impossible, that I couldn't have you, no matter how much I wanted to. And you wanted to? Olivia asked, voice low, vulnerable. Because on my end, it was hell, Aliyah. We only have a 3-year age gap, but you were my professor. I respected that. I would never put you in a difficult situation. What did you think? That I was gonna expose you? Olivia felt the tears burning. But okay, you wanted to keep the formality. I respected that. But did you really have to be so cruel? With me you were. You were merciless. Every paper, every answer, every tiny mistake was dissected and thrown back in my face. And I didn't understand why. Her voice rose. I should hate you. I tried to hate you, but I couldn't. Because every time you opened your mouth to teach, I saw the same person who talked to me about history and philosophy, and the only thing I wanted was for you to remember me and stop treating me like that. Because I couldn't let her come back, Aliyah shouted, tears finally falling. Do you really not understand? If I was nice, if I allowed even a friendship, I was going to want more. I always wanted more. Since that damn night, she wiped the tears angrily. You were there, wearing those ridiculous t-shirts of bands I also love, asking questions that reminded me why I fell in love with academia. All the other students know the professor, the youngest and coldest doctor, but not you. You kept looking at me with those eyes that saw me, not the prodigy professor. What you saw was just me. Aliyah's voice broke completely, and I had to be hard, had to be critical, had to build a wall so high between us that I couldn't climb it myself, even if I wanted to, because the alternative was ruining everything. My career, my reputation, everything I fought to build. The silence that followed was heavy. Olivia wiped her own tears. On that New Year's Eve, she started, voice calmer now. When midnight hit and we almost kissed, I kept waiting for us to somehow meet again. I kind of hoped. Aliyah nodded, unable to speak. I spent a whole week regretting not being brave enough to kiss you when I had the chance. And I spent the next months regretting not being brave that night, letting you walk away. Olivia paused. And then the summer term started and you were there, in front of the class, my professor. And I thought, of course it's impossible. But I respected that, Aliyah. I never tried to get close, because you made it very clear you didn't want anything to do with me. I know, Aliyah whispered. And somehow that was worse, because you respected me, you kept your distance, and after it ended, you went on with your life, like I hadn't mattered, like that night hadn't mattered. But it did matter, Olivia said, voice breaking. It mattered so much that I spent months trying to forget you, and then I commit that stupidity with the pumpkin and somehow fate decides to throw us together again, and you still treat me like im. She couldn't finish. Olivia took a step forward, eliminating the distance between them. But what did I expect, right? You were protecting yourself. It's not worth taking risks for someone like me. Don't talk like that. I messed up, thought only about myself and hurt you in the process, Aliyah said, voice broken with guilt. I hurt you. A lot. Yeah, Olivia agreed. You hurt me. A lot. She raised a hand, hesitant, and touched Aliyah's wet face. But Her voice failed. I still feel the same thing I felt that New Year's Eve, despite everything. Maybe even more, because now I know you for real. Not just the woman at the bar, but the passionate professor, the impossible perfectionist. Aliyah closed her eyes, pressing her face against Olivia's palm. Me too, she confessed. I never wanted to stay away from you, not for a second. Then stop fighting, Olivia asked soft. Please, I can't take seeing you fight against this anymore. Against us? I already graduated, Aliyah. My diploma is already signed. The exams are already graded. There's nothing unethical here. But people will think that it started before? Olivia completed. Let them think. You were the strictest professor I ever had. There's a whole class that can testify you never gave me an inch of advantage. Actually, you were extra hard on me. A tiny smile, almost reluctant, appeared on Aliyah's face through the tears. I was, wasn't I? Merciless, Olivia confirmed, smiling too. Cruelly, unnecessarily hard. I have trauma. You're gonna have to pay for my therapy. You are impossible, Aliyah said, laughing now. A wet, emotional sound. I know, Olivia said, wiping a tear from Aliyah's face. Look, I understand if you want to wait. If you want to be careful, we can keep this a secret until I officially leave the university. However long you need to feel safe. Aliyah opened her eyes, studying Olivia's face. You would do that? Wait? I spent months hating you and wanting you at the same time, Olivia said, raspy. I can wait a few months just pretending to hate you. Without the hate part, it'll be way better. Aliyah let out a sound between a laugh and a sob. You. She shook her head. I don't deserve you. Probably not, Olivia agreed. But do you want me anyway? Aliyah raised her hands finally and pulled Olivia by the waist. I wanted you from the moment you made that terrible joke about cant and karaoke at that New Year's party, she confessed. It's been almost a year, and I wasted most of that time pretending I didn't. Olivia smiled, hands going up to Aliyah's shoulders, fingers touching the loose hair for the first time. Then do it now, she whispered. No regrets this time. There was no more hesitation. There was no more fear. There was only the gravity of a whole year of repressed desire finally surrendering. The kiss wasn't shy, nor aggressive. It was a surrender. It was the taste of black coffee and repressed desire. It was a year of almost finally becoming finally. Aliyah's hands found Olivia's waist, pulling her close with an urgency that had been denied for too long. Her fingers gripped the fabric of the ridiculous reindeer sweater like she wanted to be sure Olivia was real. Olivia wrapped her arms around her neck, fingers buried in that finally loose hair, smelling like something citrusy and expensive and completely Aliyah. They separated just enough to breathe, foreheads touching, air coming out in white clouds of condensation. This violates so many rules, Aliyah whispered, still eyes closed. Technically no, Olivia murmured back, but if it makes you feel better, I can write a formal confession admitting I seduced you. I'll use letterhead and everything. Aliyah laughed. It was a real laugh. You are a problem, Olivia Brooks. And you love it, Olivia said, kissing her again. Yes, Aliyah confirmed. I love it. Tragically, desperately. Love it. They spent the next hours like that, talking, kissing, filling in a whole year of gaps. Olivia found out Aliyah had a ridiculous collection of socks with cat prints, that she listened to Taylor Swift when correcting exams. Aliyah found out Olivia had a notebook full of bad poetry, that she spent the nights before Aliyah's classes practicing questions that would seem smart enough. You didn't have to do that, Aliyah said, stroking Olivia's messy hair. They were on the couch. Olivia nestled against her. Your questions were always the best in the class. You never said that. Because I was terrified. If I praised you, I was going to. Aliyah stopped. I was going to give too much away. Olivia kissed her shoulder, a soft gesture. Well, you can praise me all you want now. I'm accepting retroactive extra credit for the whole semester. You are brilliant, Aliyah said without hesitation. Your analysis on historical revisionism in the first week was the best I've heard in years. Your final paper on collective memory made me rethink my own research. And you. Her voice softened. You make me want to be a better teacher, less scary, more human. Olivia lifted her head eyes wide. You're making me cry again. Stop it. Never, Aliyah promised, kissing her forehead. Now let me make you cry happy tears instead of frustrated ones, for once. The heating kicked back on sometime in the early hours of the morning, but neither of them noticed. They were too busy rediscovering each other. Olivia woke up to sunlight reflecting off the blinding snow outside. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then she felt the warm weight, the familiar citrus scent, and it all came rushing back. Aliyah. She was sleeping tucked into Olivia's shoulder, hair spread like dark silk over the worn leather couch. Her expression was serene, stripped of that rigid armor. She looked young, vulnerable, real. She looked like she belonged to Olivia. Olivia glanced around room 304. Papers from yesterday's breakdown still on the floor. Christmas lights blinking. The plastic pumpkin on the desk, now wearing Aliyah's reading glasses at a ridiculous tilt. She smiled. Christmas was saved. Not the way she imagined it, no mom's cookies or old duvet, but with something infinitely better. Aliyah stirred, opening her eyes slowly. The confusion lasted a second, quickly replaced by a small, private smile. Morning, Olivia whispered. If you took a picture of me sleeping, Aliyah murmured, voice raspy with sleep, I'm retroactively failing you. Good morning to you too, Professor. December 31st, a few days later. The bar was unbearably crowded, loud, and smelled of cheap champagne and expectation. It was the polar opposite of the quiet office on campus. Olivia stopped at the entrance, wearing the same outfit she had worn exactly 365 days ago. Do we look ridiculous? Olivia shouted, to be heard. Tell me we don't look ridiculous. Aliyah stood beside her, also wearing the same outfit as the previous year, a style completely different from what she wore to work. We look methodical, Aliyah corrected, shouting back, but squeezing Olivia's hand with telling nervousness. It's a historical reenactment, academic rigor. Olivia laughed, pulling her toward the bar. Unbelievable. Even in a dive bar, you're defending a thesis. Miraculously, they snagged the same corner spot, the scene of the crime. A year ago, on these same stools, the electric tension could have lit up the city. But fear had won. Aliyah had pulled back, Olivia had walked away, and they spent 12 months pretending their hearts weren't broken while waging a cold war in the classroom. This time, the bartender set 2 drinks down in front of them. Without hesitating, Aliyah took Olivia's hand on the sticky counter, interlacing their fingers firmly in plain sight. Olivia froze for a second, glancing around as if the campus police were about to burst in. Hey, Olivia whispered, leaning in. What about that whole acting with total discretion thing? Did we ditch security protocol? Aliyah didn't let go. She squeezed tighter, holding Olivia's gaze with a quiet seriousness. We have nothing to hide, Olivia. Her voice was steady. I was your professor for the summer term. That ended months ago. We didn't have anything back then, as much as I wanted to. But the gossip? Screw the gossip, Aliyah shrugged, a gesture so uncharacteristic it made Olivia blink. We're 2 adult women, we're practically the same age, and we haven't broken any laws. The academic expression melted away, giving way to an aching softness. And honestly, I'm done hiding behind rules. She brought Olivia's hand to her lips, kissing her knuckles under the neon lights. You don't deserve to be a secret, Liv. You deserve to be loved out loud, and I don't want to be unfair to you for even one more second. Olivia felt the knot in her chest come undone. The fear of being the dirty little secret evaporated. Damn it, Aliyah, Olivia laughed, blinking away tears. You can't say beautiful stuff like that in a bar playing reggaeton. It's ruining my tough girl posture. Your tough girl posture is a scam, and we both know it. Yeah, Olivia admitted, holding her hand with the same intensity. But thank you. I needed to hear that. Aliyah smiled, swirling her drink with her other hand, while looking at her intensely, stripped of all armor. I regretted it the instant you walked out that door last year. I was terrified, and you were, a lot, emotionally diarrheic, remember? I'll never forget. Yeah, well, it took me a year to realize that my emotional constipation desperately needed your chaos. Olivia grinned, teasing. You're pretty bossy, and surprisingly, affectionate. I am terrifyingly affectionate, and you better not complain, Aliyah replied with that dangerous smile Olivia could already identify. I know you love it when I tell you what to do. I can't deny it, I do, Olivia confessed, receiving a quick kiss on the cheek. Then she leaned in inches away from her. So, is the plan to rewrite the ending? The plan is to do what I should have done 365 days, 23 hours, and Aliyah checked her watch, 58 minutes ago. You timed it? I'm a historian, Olivia. Dates matter. On the big screen, the countdown began. 10, 9. Olivia looked at the woman in front of her. The strict professor, the impossible woman, the love of her life. We don't have to wait for 0, Olivia teased. We've already broken worse rules this week. Aliyah smiled, that rare open smile. You're right, to hell with protocol. 5, 4. Aliyah cupped Olivia's face with both hands. No hesitation, no fear. 3, 2. When their lips met, it wasn't a Happy New Year kiss. It was a finally kiss. It tasted like a year of waiting, of arguments, of stolen glances, and a desperate second chance. The bar exploded in screams and confetti at midnight, but Olivia barely heard it. She only felt Aliyah's hand on the back of her neck and the absolute certainty that the new year would be infinitely better. They broke apart just enough to breathe. Happy New Year, Aliyah, Olivia whispered, using her first name with delightful ease. Aliyah ran her thumb over Olivia's lip, eyes shining brighter than the fireworks on the TV. Happy New Year, Olivia. Now let's get out of here. I'm pretty sure protocol demands we don't end this night in a bar. Your place or mine? Aliyah kissed her again, quick and possessive. Doesn't matter. The important thing is being together. Let's start this right. And there, in the middle of the chaos, exactly where they had lost each other, they finally found themselves. I warned you, didn't I? They always say no one walks away unscathed from a bottled up, almost kiss. Merry Christmas, everyone. See you at the next drama. If you're still here, thank you for sharing this love story with us. Like the video, tell us your favorite part in the comments, and subscribe for more stories like this.